Salutations! It's time for the highly anticipated Halo Reach installment of my Halo Weapons tier list series. Reach will be a trilogy of episodes. Today we'll cover the campaign, Part 2 will tackle Firefight, then Part 3's the multiplayer episode. Reach is a massive paradigm shift from the other Halos I've covered so far, thus the tiering explanation will be quite long. I recommend you stick through it to understand my eventual rankings. However, if you'd rather skip my yapping to just get to the tiering process, the timestamp on screen will take you there. As with each campaign installment, I base my rankings on a solo, legendary run, with no gameplay altering skulls enabled. When ranking weapons, I value consistency, versatility, and ammo supply. For a weapon to be deemed viable, not only should they take on a majority of the game's enemy roster, but also have the resources to see proper usage. If a weapon is not that common, or it burns through its ammo supply too quickly, that'll hurt its standings. The Reach episodes will be based on the Master Chief Collection's version of the game, for a few reasons. It's the most populated version nowadays, and this is the one time I prefer the MCC version from a gameplay perspective. Reach struggles to maintain 30 FPS on 360, and I'd rather not slog through the campaign as this happens. There's also a few noteworthy but unintentional gameplay differences between the two versions, and I'll point them out when they're relevant. As mentioned earlier, Reach is a very different Halo game, with some notable new mechanics. One of these is the weapon spread system, which has been expanded upon since the previous titles. For most weapons, the reticle visually expands with a continuous fire, showcasing the spread pattern. Crouching can alter the spread pattern, usually tightening it. Keep in mind that not every weapon benefits from this, and I'll mention the exceptions as we go. Not only are there new weapons, Reach introduced armor abilities as the fourth pillar to Halo's gameplay loop. Some of these abilities synergize well with our weapons, and combos will be mentioned at various points of the video. The enemy roster mostly consists of returning cast members. But most importantly, the elites are in charge of the Covenant, nearly 6 years after Halo 2's release. They're the main contributing factor for Reach's difficulty on Legendary. They're aggressive, fast on their feet, and have swift melee attacks and grenade throw animations. Speaking of agility, skirmishers are newcomers to the series, being a subspecies of jackal that overwhelm enemies with lightning speed and rushdown tactics. Most of the enemy vehicles are Halo series staples, with newcomers including the Revenant, the Fuel Rod Shade Turret, and the Spirit Dropship, which hasn't been in a Halo game since Combat Evolved. We also have UNSC allies on the battlefield too, in the form of Army Troopers, ODSTs, and civilians, and they can trade weapons with the player. They can't lose ammo, and the viability of some of our weapons massively increase because of this. There's also Noble Team. Unlike standard allied NPCs, these Spartans cannot die at the cost of disabled weapon trading. Finally, there's you. You're Noble 6, a replacement Spartan 3. You're not as fast as the Master Chief, nor can you jump as high, but other than that, you're similar to the Legend. You have 70 shield points and 45 health points, and your melee attacks deal 79 points of damage, 9 points more than Halo 3's Master Chief. You can only carry 4 grenades total, including 2 frag and 2 plasma, the lowest in the series. Lastly, Noble 6 always starts with the Sprint armor ability, and can pick up other abilities when they come across them. Here's each of our weapons today. The order they're presented in coincides with when they're first obtained in the campaign. The tiers will be ordered within them, so a weapon ranked higher in A will be more viable than one that's lower in A. The S tier is the cream of the crop, the best and most versatile options in the game. The A tier consists of very solid options with many in-game applications, with a handful of drawbacks that prevent them from being S. The B tiers are generally good weapons with quite a few use cases, but have noticeable negatives holding them back. The C tiers are situational at best, with better options proving more favorable. The D tiers only have 1, maybe 2 things going for them, and they're usually strictly outclassed. Finally, there's the Y tier, weapons with 0 use case and are not worth using compared to the other weapons. A big shout out to Scruffy the Sasquatch for his damage table spreadsheet. Damage effects in Halo use global damage modifiers that alter the final damage output, using this formula here. I'll be referencing these damage types during the video, so if you'd like to follow along, I'll link this page in the description. One last thing before we start tiering. I have to give a big shout out to Jervalin. He recently uploaded a documentary about his LASO Deathless grind for my Halo 2 Uncut mod. I highly encourage you to check it out, as well as the first installment of his 3D animated Chronicles of Jervalin series. It's really well made. With all that said, let's begin tiering. You'll notice that I have a target locator tier, so even though it's not the first weapon we see in the campaign, I want to bring this up first. In my opinion, the target locator is in its own realm from the other weapons. It's found on Oni sword base after the first encounter, with 2 designations available. Each lock orders 7 missiles to rain down on the designated area, fired within a 4.5 second period. Each missile deals 150 points of collision damage on impact and 300 points of heavy explosive damage. After the volley is complete, it takes 9.5 seconds for the next to be available. It's no secret that the target locator is devastating on Oni sword base, primarily used to take out the 2 wraiths attacking the gate. The thing is, you only get 2 locks, and you don't need the target locator to deal with these wraiths. There's a rocket launcher to the right of the vehicles, or you could use a plasma pistol to disable, then hijack them. That being said, the target locator is the easiest way to kill these wraiths. You could destroy both wraiths with 1 lock, which nets you an achievement, and that lets you save an extra shot for a different encounter. If you start from rally point Bravo, due to an oversight, you're given a 3rd target lock. 3 is actually the default amount a target locator offers, but the opening encounter script sets the count to 2. This function is not called when the player is at rally point Bravo's location. However, since my tier list assumes a legendary run from start to finish, I won't account for this oversight. You can't typically give the target locator to an ally, but you supposedly can through a glitch. In 2011, PSU Fan99 on Bungie.net performed this glitch when switching and trading weapons at the same time, and that led to an infinite use target locator. I tried this for hours, and I just couldn't get it to work. I ended up modding the game to allow switching with it, just to see how effective it is, and I noticed that troopers were not exempt from the limited shot pool, unable to call more strikes with a hit 0. I don't know how PSU Fan99 got unlimited shots to work on their end. Perhaps successfully performing this glitch makes that happen, or some co-op netcode shenanigans were at play here. I can't imagine most people wanting to sit there for hours trying to make this work when the rocket launcher is right there anyway. Overall, the target locator gets its own spot in between A and B ranks. Moving on, our actual first weapon is the assault rifle. After ODST, it received some major changes. Damage per shot has been nerfed. At 0 world units, it starts at 6.788 points, and as it travels in the air, it gets gradually weaker, stopping at 5.834 at 40 world units. A world unit in Halo games is approximately 3 meters, just so you're aware. The assault rifle still uses the bullet slow damage type, but thankfully it no longer has the 50% damage penalty to shields like an ODST. The max range more than doubled, and the projectile velocity exponentially increased, to the point it simulates hit scan behavior. This will be a common theme for many human weapons on this list. By default, the assault rifle holds less spare ammo than in Halo 3, but there will be missions where your starting loadout gives you way more than normal. The most notable change comes from the firing spread interactions. Halo 3's assault rifle requires burst firing to improve accuracy, but reaching the max spread only involved trigger holding time. Reach weapons are different. This graph here is a bit tough to explain, and I don't understand every facet of it, but simply put, this is what controls a reach weapon spread reset time as the weapon is firing or recovering. There's also a crouched version for this chart. All this means is the reset time is slightly shorter with each shot while you crouch. We'd be here all day if I yapped about this, so I won't go over these charts for every weapon on this list unless there's something notable I need to bring up. Anyways, the point is, it's a lot easier to hit targets at a distance with Reach's assault rifle than Halo 3's, thanks to much faster projectiles that travel further, and a spread system that's more controllable, but at the cost of some firepower. Reach's AR gets a lot of hate online, and it's not hard to see why. It's pretty weak on Legendary, when enemies are more durable than on lower difficulties. I won't sugarcoat it. You'll definitely trade the assault rifle for a stronger option when it's available. However, not everything is as bad as it seems. Its burst accuracy actually makes it a decent elite shield stripper at medium ranges. It's not as efficient as plasma weapons at doing this, but the AR has the benefit of pseudo hit scan bullets, consistently stripping shields at longer distances than the slower plasma bullets. They give it like a worse version of ODST suppressed SMG, which served a similar function. You usually get a ton of starting assault rifle ammo, and every mission in the game offers a lot more, whether it's via troopers or at UNSC ammo caches. The assault rifle is also decent at suppressing grunts, jackals, and skirmishers. The skirmisher matchup is notable for not allowing them to act while shot at, except the Murmillos with their arm shields just don't bother. It's not the worst thing to use versus hunters, especially if their back armor is shot off, but the shotgun and heavier weapons are preferred. Brutes are not the best matchup, as their large health pools sponge the AR's rounds, but at least at range, you'll deal with them fine. The weakness of the AR's bullets becomes more apparent on engineer encounters, taking nearly a whole mag just to kill one higher ranking grunt. I glaze about the range capabilities of the AR, but most of the time, you're better off using a plasma weapon in conjunction with a precision weapon, especially when there's a lot of plasma pistols to go around. It's immediately power crept by the plasma pistol, even against unshielded targets. While the assault rifle has the range advantage, the red reticle range is pretty short, so targeting medium-ranged enemies can be hard, especially versus elites. While it can suppress grunts, the fact it takes so long to kill majors and above is unattractive. Similar to Halo 2's SMG, so much can happen to you in the time it takes to kill just one major, when you could just headshot them instead. The assault rifle is used by most troopers, as well as certain noble team members. It's a decent allied weapon, offering light shield chip and occasionally suppressing unshielded enemies. A notable example is Kat's assault rifle at tip of the spear. Her AR can stun lock skirmishers so your Rocket Hawk can hit them easier. However, the AI don't fire this weapon at long ranges, sticking to a 12 world unit range, which is not far. Assault rifle users also receive a slight damage penalty, making its already weak shots even weaker. The Reach assault rifle is D tier. It's an underrated, ranged elite shield stripper, and its ammo supply is vast. However, it's weak, and immediately power crept by Covenant weapons at the first enemy encounter. Next up is the Magnum. Once again, Halo's pistol received a makeover. It continues the path set by ODST's Automag, featuring a 2x scope. Since this is a variant of Halo 3's M6G pistol, however, the magazine size is back to 8 rounds compared to 12. The spare ammo count is 40 rounds by default, but like the AR, there's a few missions where you start with more. Its fire recovery time, which is the cooldown time in between shots, is 0.19 seconds. Its firing spread is extremely wide compared to the ODST pistol. It's among the widest in the game, and it takes 3 shots with trigger spam to reach the maximum spread value. Crouching does not boost the Magnum's accuracy, making it one of the few weapons with this negative trait. It has the same range and projectile velocity as the assault rifle, and deals 17.5 bullet slow damage per shot. The Magnum is the Walmart brand DMR in this game. It's not as accurate, nor does it hold as much ammo, but when you pace your shots, it's a competent weapon. The one benefit the Magnum has over the 2 precision rifles is a much faster fire rate, which can be useful at point blank range. However, trigger spam is ill-advised most of the time, given how easy it is to bloom. The truth is, once you find a DMR or a needle rifle, you're better off just using one of those instead. That being said, there's moments in the campaign where precision rifle ammo is either scarce or non-existent. Missions where you don't start with a DMR or sniper rifle are notable examples. During the final section of Pillar of Autumn, you might go into this encounter with little to no rifle ammo, and it's likely the DMR crate that spawns inside this wall launches itself over the cliff. There's plenty of pistol ammo, however, with 1 crate right before this area, and 2 more in the central building. It's examples like these where the Magnum becomes your lifeline. Kat is the most prominent Magnum user in the campaign. She fires it very quickly at 6 rounds per second, and is capable of headshotting unshielded enemies. It's not that great in the hands of troopers though, who do not fire it nearly as fast and at the same range as the assault rifle. The Magnum is A tier. When precision rifles are not available, the Magnum is a great alternative that'll carry you until you find a rifle. The first enemy weapon we see is the needle rifle. It features a 2x scope and holds 21 needles per magazine with 84 spare. Like the Halo 1 pistol, holding the trigger allows continuous fire, at a rate of 4 needles per second. Its spread ranges from 0.15 degrees to 2 degrees, but it takes quite a few shots to reach the max spread, especially when crouching. Its max range is 250 world units, and its projectile velocity is 1500 world units per second. While the velocity is half that of the assault rifle and Magnums, it's still so fast that it simulates hit scan, so from now on, if a weapon has a projectile velocity around this value, I'm just not going to mention it. On impact, it deals 6 points of needle damage, a brand new modifier that deals double damage to energy shields. When 3 needles strike an unshielded target, it super combines, dealing 350 points of small explosive damage. The kill potential for the needle rifle is absolutely insane. 21 possible headshot kills, or 7 super combines, most notably against brutes. The fact that super combines means you don't even have to be perfectly accurate. Just body shotting is enough to kill nearly anything unshielded. Even brute chieftains are not safe, as they are no longer immune to super combines in reach. Even better still, this thing is a laser beam when you pace your shots, especially when crouching. That makes it noticeably easier to use than the DMR, which spreads wider and more quickly. Many will point out that the needle rifle causes enemies to dodge or use armor lock when shot at, and cite that as a negative trait. I wholeheartedly disagree. Forcing the enemy to stop firing at you or your allies in a game as cutthroat as Halo Reach Legendary is actually one of its best traits. The time spent dodging or armor locking allows you or your allies to push up or find cover. The needle rifle pairs really well with close quarters weapons like the shotgun, energy sword, or gravity hammer. They appreciate the needle rifle forcing dodges, so the user can close the distance and reach the optimal engagement range. While the needle damage type is twice as effective versus shields, it takes a while to break certain elite shields with this weapon, so if ammo is scarce, it's best to use something else to weaken the shield, then finish with the rifle. Ammo supply can be rare at times, but there's quite a few spots where ammo is plentiful, most notably on Tip of the Spear and Long Night of Solace. Almost every Jackal sniper uses a needle rifle, and skirmishers use it frequently too. It's occasionally used by elites, and 2 brutes on New Alexandria. As an allied weapon, the needle rifle is really good. The AI cannot trigger super combines, but to compensate, their damage per shot is 75% stronger than the players. Their firing range is 20 world units, which is actually on the upper end compared to most weapons on this list. They can kill with headshots, and the best part is their needles causes enemies to dodge too. A whole squad of needle rifle troopers can just bully an elite, like this poor fella here. Easy S tier. Its ease of use and kill potential makes it the cream of the crop. It only gets stronger once the brutes show up, and it's fantastic as an ally weapon. The Plaza Pistol is up next, and whoo boy, this entry will get passionate. At first glance, the Plaza Pistol resembles Halo 3's, with a few tweaks to projectile velocity, fire recovery time, and having some actual firing spread now. The tag states that it has a max spread of 2 degrees, but it never actually reaches that value. According to the spread chart, it caps at 50% of that 2 degrees, or in this case, 1 degree, and crouching caps to 40%, or 0.8 degrees. The overcharged shot also has a secondary AoE damage effect, dealing 36 points of plasma slow damage at a max radius of half a world unit. But that's where the minor differences end. Finally, after almost 9 years, the primary fire does actual damage now. 16 per shot from a battery that offers 500 bolts is just cracked. It's overtuned. Just gonna go on a quick tangent here. I did say this would get passionate. Before I started writing this script, I watched a couple other Reach weapon tier list videos on YouTube, since I was curious about the general public opinion on some of these weapons. While I understand that most of them encapsulated the entire game and not just campaign, there are some of you out there, and you know who you are, that rated the Plaza Pistol very low on your lists. Even in a firefight and multiplayer context, Reach's Plaza Pistol is up there as one of, if not the best in the entire series. I'm serious, you're looking at one of the best weapons in the game. It's not only the best supporting weapon in the game, but it's a powerful standalone weapon in its own right. I mean, look what I'm doing to these brutes here. They have a ton of health, and they're still folding to this thing. The frailer enemies of this game, like grunts, jackals, and skirmishers, just need a handful of primary fire shots to kill. It helps tremendously that it's the most common weapon in the game. Nearly every enemy encounter will have at least one of these, and with the battery including 500 shots, you may as well have unlimited ammo. I actually prefer to use the primary fire against elites in my legendary runs since they have a harder time dodging standard bolts, but the overcharged shot is still an excellent feature, providing quick burst damage against tougher elites. EMPing wraiths is a lot stronger now, since the mortar turret will deactivate for a couple seconds, letting you push up safely. The plasma pistol is pretty good with troopers. They have a short engagement range of 13 world units, but they fire it quickly after a few seconds. They suppress grunts and deal great shield damage to elites. Sadly, they cannot use the overcharge feature, and their plasma bolts deal 50% less damage than the players. The Reach Plasma Pistol is our next S tier. Its utility and firepower is crucial for making legendary runs way easier. In the same encounter you find the Plasma Pistol, we have the Needler, the greatest weapon to ever exist, ever.
Needler gang.
Once again, the Needler changed dramatically between Halo games. Its magazine size and spare ammo count increased, as did its initial fire rate. Super Combined explosions deal slightly less damage, but the difference is negligible. The real kicker is the Super Combined prereq, requiring just 6 needles. That's the lowest amount for the Needler in the entire series, and with a mag size of 24, you could potentially Super Combine 4 times per mag. However, you cannot cause Super Combines on energy shields in Reach, meaning elites somewhat resist the Needler now. That being said, the impact damage remedies this a bit, dealing 6 points of needle damage or 12 points to energy shields thanks to the 2x multiplier. Halo Reach's Needler is excellent. The low Super Combine cost alone makes it deadly versus most enemies, and the opportunity cost to use it versus grunts is not nearly as high as prior games. The tracking is also stronger than Halo 3's Needler, thus boosting consistency. Like the Needle Rifle, the Needler can Super Combine Brute Chieftains, which it cannot do in Halo 3, and enemies will dodge or use armor lock against the Needler. I already talked about why I think this is a good thing with the Needle Rifle, so I won't repeat that here. People say the lack of Super Combines on shields is a negative trait, and while I do agree, I offer a counterpoint. It deals good shield damage, so instead of wasting your ammo to cause a Super Combine, just use it until the shield's weak enough to finish off with a precision weapon. You could also do the opposite, stripping shields with plasma, then Super Combining on flesh. Speaking of ammo, I say that's the Needler's biggest weakness in this game. For every one Needler, you find 2 or 3 plasma pistols instead. When you actually find Needlers, they don't drop a lot of ammo, so you end up going on a scavenger hunt to find more. I would not recommend giving the Needler to allies. They fire the Needler slowly and they cannot cause Super Combines. The Needler is A tier, absolutely eviscerating Super Combine weak opponents. I put it in S if it dropped more ammo, but alas. In the first Elite encounter, we have the Plasma Repeater. The weapon tag says it begins with a 15 rounds per second fire rate, but due to its heat-based rate of fire mechanics, it's really more like 10 rounds per second. Unlike other heat-based weapons, heat is manually expelled by the user, simulating reloading. Its firing spread ranges from 0.4 degrees to 3 degrees and has improved accuracy while crouching. Projectiles travel at 35 world units per second. Damage starts at 7 points of plasma fast per shot, and gradually get weaker until 40 world units, where it deals 5.834 per shot. The Plasma Repeater is one of the saddest weapons of all time. It does not have a niche. It's a plasma weapon that does not deal bonus shield damage, since it was designed to be the Covenant's answer to the Assault Rifle for multiplayer's Invasion. The Plasma Repeater is just a worse assault rifle in almost every way. It deals similar damage per shot, with projectiles that need time to hit their target. Terrible. The Plasma Repeater has absolutely nothing to do other than just being an enemy weapon. It's window dressing and nothing more. It could have been excluded from the campaign and nothing of value would have been lost. Every other option in the game at least offers something. But nope, there's nothing here with the Plasma Repeater. It's not even good with troopers either. Behold, the worst weapon in the game. Y tier. In the same Elite encounter, we have the Concussion Rifle. It's a Covenant grenade launcher, with a magazine size of 6, and can hold 24 grenades in reserve. Its fire recovery time is 0.33 seconds repeating. Projectiles start traveling at 12 world units per second. After 6 world units, it gets slightly faster until it hits 15 world units, speeding up to 16 world units per second. It has 2 damage effects, an impact that deals 21.5 points of collision damage, and a detonation that deals another 21.5 points of plasma fast damage, with a radius of 1 to 2 world units. It causes a ton of knockback versus targets. The Concussion Rifle is infuriating. It's strictly better when the AI use it. Their projectiles are 10% faster and deal more damage, and their rate of fire is impossible for a human player. A Concussion Rifle Elite is the #1 roadblock for Reach legendary runs. It's just unfair. But when the player uses it, it's like it has a sinus infection. Projectiles are slow and weak for an explosive weapon. This is supposed to be the brute shot replacement, but this is no brute shot. There's no large bayonet for boosted melee damage. What's even worse, on MCC specifically, there's a bug where your rate of fire staggers when spamming the trigger. This does not happen on 360. Yet despite all that slander, are you ready for this? The Concussion Rifle is not as bad as it seems. It's niche for sure, but hear me out. While the damage could be better, the actual concussive blasts are surprisingly effective. It's good at stun locking elites. Enemies that are airborne cannot act, and the knockback slows their movement speed. Both of these are helpful against charging elites. Just watch for the splash damage. Despite the weakness, it deals just enough damage to break shields after a few shots. A lot of this applies to the brutes too, and they're common users of the Concussion Rifle, but thankfully they're easier to kill than elites. You can utilize its concussion yourself to perform boost jumps. In fact, the Concussion Rifle is extremely important for the Reach speedrun because of this, letting you skip parts of a level, or get to places you're not supposed to. One funny example is the Mac cannon on the Pillar of Autumn during the Wave Defense section. Here's Seclusive just mogging on the Covenant with his BFG. The Concussion Rifle is also quite common for its power level. It's not Halo 3 Brute Shot tier common, but it's decently available. It can also hold twice as much spare ammo as the Brute Shot, so using it on Grunts and Jackals is not the biggest waste, but I'd still prioritize elites and brutes. I'd say the biggest revelation for me was seeing how effective it was in the hands of troopers. Now that overpowered AI Concussion Rifle is on your side. A fun example is a Concussion Rifle trooper riding shotgun on a rocket hog. It's almost like 2 rocket turrets firing at once. It's no AI held rocket launcher, but if you're going to use a Concussion Rifle for anything, give it to an ally. It's really good there. This might be overrating the Concussion Rifle, but I'm giving it our first C tier. I was going into this research expecting a Y tier, but the more I experimented with it, the more surprised I was with its game. There's depth to the Concussion Rifle. Our next weapon is the face of Halo Reach, the DMR. It's a single shot precision weapon, featuring a 3x scope. Its fire recovery time is 0.33 seconds, firing at 3 rounds per second. It holds 15 rounds per mag with 60 spare. Spread ranges from 0.15 degrees to 2 degrees, with crouching improving accuracy. Each shot deals 17.5 bullet fast damage. Do I need to get into specifics? The DMR is one of the best weapons in the game. It's highly consistent, especially if you pace your shots. However, due to the 60 tick rate on Master Chief Collection, the DMR waits less time between shots, so you may as well spam the trigger at optimal ranges. This will be your most used weapon. It's a headshot machine, decimating whole squads of unshielded enemies. It's a starting weapon on Oni Sword Base, Tip of the Spear, New Alexandria, and the Package, and as the campaign progresses, DMR ammo caches become more common. While I prefer the Needle Rifle, the DMR deals more damage to vehicles, and while it's not a lot per shot, it can finish off a weakened vehicle if you lack explosives. The DMR also has a better shield jackal matchup. The Needle Rifle is not strong enough to cause jackals to recoil with one shot, while the DMR is. One more advantage over the Needle Rifle is the 3x zoom, giving the DMR the ranged advantage. While ammo can be plentiful at times, I wouldn't waste ammo on high-ranking elites until you weaken their shields. The DMR is commonly used by troopers, but I don't think they're good users. While they can headshot unshielded enemies, they fire at the same range as the assault rifle at 12 world units, and they don't fire it quickly. AI-controlled assault rifles are better against elites in my opinion. The DMR is the most consistent weapon in the game and is top of S. While I prefer the Needle Rifle overall, with its dodge utility and kill potential, the DMR has the ammo advantage, a higher scope magnification, a better shielded jackal matchup, and can destroy weakened vehicles at a pinch. It's a staple for any legendary run. On Legendary, the Plasma Rifle appears at the Outpost exterior, used by Spec Ops elites. It's mostly unchanged from Halo 3 when it comes to rate of fire, projectile velocity, and damage per shot. However, it received a massive accuracy nerf. To make matters significantly worse, it's the only weapon in the entire series to lose accuracy while crouching. You heard me correctly. Halo Reach's Plasma Rifle has wider spread when you're f***ing crouching. Are you kidding me? I refuse to believe this was intentional. Crouching is a pivotal mechanic to keep yourself safe in cover, and Halo Reach has been teaching you that crouching generally increases accuracy, but the plasma rifle goes against that lesson. Ignoring this blatant negative, even if that didn't exist, there's no reason to use the plasma rifle over the plasma pistol, when the latter has stronger bolts, has faster projectiles, is more accurate, is way more common, and has the overcharge shot. It's entirely outclassed. However, I did find one use case for the plasma rifle, and that's giving it to an ally. Troopers actually perform better with the plasma rifle than the plasma pistol, with a 15 world unit engagement range compared to the plasma pistol's 13. AI-fired plasma pistols have a 50% damage penalty, while the plasma rifle has no damage penalty. Long Night of Solace in particular has a ton of plasma rifles for your allies. It's D tier. It's strictly worse than the plasma pistol in every way, except in the hands of your allies. In that same encounter, a general elite with an energy sword appears. Its lunge range is slightly lower than Halo 3's, but the damage is considerably higher, especially compared to ODST Firefight's energy sword. Like the swords in previous games, it expends 10% of the battery with each kill. The sword's campaign placement is a bit unfortunate because it's extremely rare. The first 3 times it shows up, it's either at the end of the level, or before a part that resets your loadout, aka the outpost exterior. The first level where you can really use the sword is Long Night of Solace, where a sword appears on the way to the Saber, and you can bring it with you to the Corvette. From there, a crate at the bridge offers 2 more swords, then a sword elite appears during the last encounter. You won't see another sword until the end of the package, but at that point the mission's over. This Spec Ops elite on Pillar of Autumn gives you one though, and you can take it with you to the final part of the level. When you do have a sword, it's very good, 1 hitting weaker enemies and 2 hitting others. It's a great starter on the Corvette part of Long Night of Solace, taking the Rangers out with 1 hit. You start with a full battery here too, giving you quite a few targets with 1 sword. The 10% battery drain per kill is unfortunate though. There's no flood in this game, so there's no targets that cost 2.5% of the battery. However, against tougher shielded enemies, you can hit them once, severely weakening their shield, then finish them off with a different weapon. It's also worth noting that sword assassinations do not cause battery. Against brute chieftains, if you swing at their face, it knocks their helmets off, ready for headshots. Sprint is the best armor ability to use with the sword. Otherwise, you'll have trouble closing the distance to elites, especially if they're backing away from you. Sadly, with no elite allies in this game, you cannot give the sword to teammates. I'll give the energy sword B tier. It's really good, but it's among the rarest weapons in the game. I'd only use it on major enemies like elites and brutes, and not waste battery on stuff like grunts and jackals. Right at the end of Winter Contingency, the shotgun appears. It shares the same damage and pellet count as Halo 3's, but has slightly further range and a tighter spread. I mentioned in my Halo 3 campaign tier list that despite some nerfs the shotgun got after Halo 2, Halo 3's environment suited it well, with the brutes being big, slow targets for it. However, Reach's shotgun, despite a buffed range and accuracy, is in a slightly worse spot now that elites are the primary enemies. The elite matchup is not entirely bad if you can close the distance, but it's not to the level of Halo 3's brute matchup. Thankfully, the shotgun decimates unshielded enemies more consistently. It's pretty good for brutes, but they're tanky and require multiple shots to kill, especially if you're further away due to the damage drop-off. It's one of the best anti-hunter weapons, killing 1 in 4 back shots on Legendary. Like the sword, you'll want sprint to get closer to your enemies. The shotgun is primarily used by Emil, and is occasionally seen with troopers. It's okay, its limited range means anything far away wins against shotgun troopers, but thankfully Emil is invincible. I'll give the shotgun B tier. It's a great close quarters option and pairs well with precision weapons. However, closing the distance is the name of the game, and despite the range buff, the damage fall off is rough, making it feel weak at times. On Oni sword base, the Phantom is introduced. If you have a plasma grenade, you can dislodge our next weapon off of it, the plasma turret. It's mostly unchanged from Halo 3, with the same damage and projectile velocity, but the firing spread is noticeably wider. This is our first of 2 support weapons on this list, third-person options that slow the player's movement speed and prevent melee attacks, crouching, and grenade throws. While damage per shot is the same as Halo 3's, the damage modifier, plasma turret, means Jackal shields take 25% less damage from this weapon. Sadly, Reach's fast-paced environment does not favor the plasma turret. Just trying to get a plasma turret is a tall order. You need a plasma grenade, or an explosive in general, to knock one off of a phantom, and the surrounding enemies will melt you if you don't kill them first. Trying to use it on a controller is a death sentence due to the slow turn speed. Even with mouse and keyboard controls, it's not much better. Diagonal movement makes you move faster, but not by much. You'll still be overwhelmed by Legendary's damage output regardless, especially from concussion rifles and plasma grenades. Jackals are not a great matchup either. The damage resistance of shields, combined with the turret's wide firing spread, makes dealing with them difficult. If there's anything positive to say about the plasma turret, it's the wide availability thanks to most phantoms carrying them. It's strong versus grunts and brutes, and it helps save ammo for your main 2 weapon slots. There's also a handful of grounded plasma turrets on Nightfall, Tip of the Spear, and the package. However, this wide availability sounds better than it actually is. It costs a well-aimed plasma grenade to get, and if I'm doing this, it's for killing the gunners rather than getting a turret for myself. The ammo save hardly matters when ammo supply is not an issue most of the time. Human ammo caches are commonplace, and the plasma pistol is energy efficient. Lastly, a lot of weapons are already good versus grunts and brutes, and the plasma turret offers nothing that other weapons already don't in this regard. It requires defensive play, so the only half-decent area for this weapon is Pillar of Autumn's Wave Defense section, but even there you have better options. The plasma turret is our next Y tier. It requires mouse and keyboard controls to be usable, and even then it's mediocre at best, being strictly worse than its Halo 3 counterpart. In this same area we have the sniper rifle. Fires slightly slower than Halo 3's and deals the same damage per shot. However, the damage type is not the same. Reach's sniper rifle only uses the sniper modifier now, and in Reach, sniper is much stronger versus vehicles, dealing full damage to all vehicles except wraiths, which have a 25% damage resistance. Sniper rifles have always been amazing in Halo campaigns, but Reach's takes it to a new direction, as the anti-armor rifle lore always depicts it as, but never in practice. It one-shots most unshielded enemies via body shot, and two-shots upper ranks like Ultra Grunts, Major Jackals, and Major Skirmishers. There's a damage hierarchy with the elite shields, which I'll show on screen right now. Brute Miners and Majors die to one headshot even through their helmets, and Chieftains are 2 shots if the second is a headshot. Nightfall is easily the most prominent sniper rifle mission, given you start with a ton of reserve ammo, and there's more ammo later on. I'd argue that in the player's hands, it's a better anti-vehicle weapon than the rocket launcher. There's no travel time for its rounds, and the light vehicles explode in 5 shots. The major limiting factor is ammo supply outside of Nightfall. Most sniper rifles just have 12 shots apiece, so it's best to prioritize high-value targets. Despite its great vehicle matchup, using 5 of your 12 shots on a light vehicle is costly. You could save ammo against tougher elites by shooting them once or twice depending on the rank, then finishing them with a precision rifle or Magnum. You can get around the limited ammo supply by utilizing the dropped ammo reset exploit. If you give your sniper rifle to a trooper, let them use it for a bit, and let them get killed, the sniper rifle they drop will have replenished ammo. This applies to every tradable weapon in the game, but it's best used for power weapons like the sniper rifle. When your allies actually use it, it's quite mid. Sniper rifles fired from allies are 25% weaker than yours, wait time between shots is long, and they have tremendous spread for no reason. They also have a short firing range, just limited to 15 world units, pathetically close for a sniper rifle. June is the main sniper ally, and he's a more accurate shot than troopers. The sniper rifle is a strong A tier. It takes some skill to use, but its highs are extremely high, and it benefits from the ammo drop exploit as long as there's enough troopers around. Outside Sword Base is our first rocket launcher. It's way stronger than Halo 3's, including an impact damage effect alongside the explosive one. On impact, rockets deal 200 points of collision damage alongside 240 points of large explosive. Even if you just go for AoE damage, Explosion Large was buffed after Halo 3, dealing more damage to the elite shields and health. The rocket launcher can target track again, but it's limited to air vehicles like Banshees and dropships. It takes 1.5 seconds for a target lock. The Reach rocket launcher might be a lot better than Halo 3's, but the main drawback is still present: ammo availability. Most launchers come with 4 rockets total, so picking key targets while maintaining good accuracy is vital to get the most out of it. Direct impacts are hard to achieve on elites given how fast and prone to dodging they are, so most engagements result in AoE damage. It's worth noting that officer elites are not killed by explosions directly next to them. Even hunters are resilient to rockets from the front, with 4 rockets killing this way. Against their exposed backs, however, it's a 2-shot. While the air vehicle matchup is great, ground vehicles can be tricky since you can't lock onto them. EMP in conjunction with rockets makes hitting them easier. Wraiths are easier to hit than Ghosts and Revenants and go down to 3 rockets. The anti-air lock-on does not come up often. For most of the campaign, you're just targeting dropship turrets, but Oni Sword Base's ending heavily utilizes this feature. There's a trick called target transfer. Make sure you have 2 rockets loaded, target a Banshee, fire the rocket, wait for the fire recovery time to complete, then aim at another Banshee. There's a very short window of time where that second Banshee is locked on, and if you fire now, your rocket homes in on it. This is not a super necessary trick, but it can finish this encounter faster. Just keep in mind the rocket's homing strength is lame, and you'll miss sometimes. This weapon's true power is unlocked in a trooper's hands. Not only do they have infinite ammo, but starting in reach, the rockets target track everything, including infantry. The rocket launcher is the #1 allied weapon in the game. Allies have a 20 world unit firing range, which is far enough for most encounters. Kinda messed up that troopers with sniper rifles have a lower firing range than rocket troopers. The play is to use the rocket launcher for a bit, wait until you have 1 rocket left, then give it to an ally. If they die after using it, the ammo drop exploit kicks in and you'll have more rockets. A rocket trooper on a Warthog side seat is a classic strategy. You can even do this with the Mongoose at the end of Exodus. If you wanted to, you could save the Troop Hog during the Oni Sword Base Wraith encounter to eventually load up 2 rocket troopers instead of 1. However, it's difficult to pull off on Legendary. The Wraiths are scripted to keep shooting the Hog until the driver's dead, so you have to book it, and this will likely take a few tries. The rockets are A tier, primarily for how strong they are in allied hands. It's great when the player uses it, but unholy with troopers. At Airview Base, the plasma launcher appears. It features a 3x scope and can target track anything, including infantry, locking on after half a second. It's a charging weapon that shoots from 1 to 4 heavy plasma grenades depending on the user's charge up time. Multiple grenades fire at 4.286 rounds per second, and if 4 grenades fire from the same charged volley, the weapon overheats very briefly before it can charge again. It's a battery weapon, and each shot uses 8.3% repeating. The plasma launcher's grenade detonation time varies greatly, ranging from 0.25 seconds to 2.5 seconds. Area of effect explosions range from 17.5 points to 175 points of small explosive damage with a 1.8 world unit blast radius. Attached grenade explosions deal 30 to 300 points of small explosive damage, also with a 1.8 world unit radius. The plasma launcher's biggest weaknesses are its inconsistency and battery expenditure. Enemies aware of it will dodge incoming grenades, leading to wasted shots. The remaining battery charge from drop launchers is usually around half full, just leaving you with a handful of shots at most. The fact that grenades can take a while to explode is also unfortunate. And something I noticed is that if you fire more than 1 grenade in the same charge at a target, one of those grenades becomes a dud and don't deal damage. When the stars align and shots land, the plasma launcher is devastatingly powerful. All unshielded enemies except hunters die to 1 grenade, and against tougher elites, you only need 1 or 2 grenades to weaken their shields enough to finish with a precision weapon. This weapon is not that common in the campaign. Tip of the Spear does have 2 fully charged plasma launchers, but they're exclusively for the second anti-air cannon encounter. They can't be brought to the Spire since your loadout resets there. There's also a free plasma launcher at the end of Long Night of Solace, and a plasma launcher ultra in the same encounter. It's best to use against vehicles, which can't dodge the grenades as well as infantry. To avoid the dud shot issue, I usually fire 1 grenade at a time, to get as much value out of the battery as possible. If I fire larger volleys, I charge up 3 grenades to prevent overheating, so I can charge immediately after. Hunters resist the plasma launcher pretty hard, but it only takes 2 grenades to break their armor. It's okay in allied hands. It's a strictly worse option than the rocket launcher. Grenades fired from the AI cannot target track, and there's time needed to charge their shots. However, if shots connect, they deal great damage. I still prefer rockets though. The plasma launcher is C tier. On paper, it's incredibly strong, but it's inconsistent, held back by dodging infantry, dud shots, a weak battery, and low availability. On the top floor of Sword Base, a general elite with a fuel rod gun is present. It's fundamentally the same as Halo 3's fuel rod, except for damage output. Like the rocket launcher, the fuel rods use an impact damage effect alongside the explosive type. Alongside 30 to 60 points of large explosive damage, the Reach fuel rod dishes out 100 points of collision damage on impact. I realized I got something wrong about the fuel rod in the Halo 3 campaign tier list video. I mentioned the fuel rods dealt 160 points of damage, but in reality, it was just 60 per fuel rod. So from 3 to Reach, it was buffed back to 160 maximum. The projectile has to arm for a short time in the air before it can explode on impact against hard surfaces, otherwise it'll bounce. Thankfully, unarmed fuel rods detonate against infantry and vehicles anyway. Halo Reach's fuel rod gun has the same slow projectile issue it has in Halo 3, but I'd say Reach's is in a worse spot. The elites are too fast for this weapon outside of close range, so the element of surprise is necessary. Same deal against light vehicles like the Ghost. They'll dodge and kill you before your fuel rods connect. Bait them to splatter to safely close the distance. The few times this weapon appears, a lot of ammo is available, such as the middle of Exodus before the Falcon Ride, the beginning of the package, and the Pillar of Autumn after the drone cave. In practice, this weapon is a souped up concussion rifle, one-shotting lesser enemies like grunts, and two-shotting major unshielded ranks like jackals and brutes. If you can land hits on elites, even just one fuel rod greatly chips their shields. Hunters resist the fuel rod from the front, taking nearly 2 clips to kill one. If you break off their back armor, 3 or 4 shots to their weak spot kills them, saving you ammo. Bouncing fuel rods can be unfortunate if you're aiming for splash damage, so make sure you're far enough away, or just go for direct impacts. The fuel rod is pretty good in allied hands, but not as good as the rocket launcher. It too has tracking projectiles, but the velocity is so slow that shots miss most of the time. A notable section for allied fuel rods is the package, where a bunch of fuel rods are available for your ODST squad, who then ride on your Scorpion. They'll accompany you until you reach Sword Base's gate, staying behind once you reach it. However, if you take a Revenant and have an ODST ride shotgun, they'll stay seated and destroy the Covenant fighting Noble Team. The fuel rod gun is B tier. While it's about the same as Halo 3's fuel rod in practice, which I ranked A tier for that campaign list, Reach elites are harder to hit than Halo 3's brutes. It's still a respectable weapon with great power and surprisingly high ammo availability. It's just difficult to use and is better in allied hands. On Nightfall, the focus rifle appears. It has 2 zoom levels, a 3.5 times and a 9.5 times. It has perfect accuracy and deals 90 points of plasma fast damage per second. Conceptually, the focus rifle is boring, a scoped sentinel beam in practice. However, I cannot deny how easy this thing is to use, and it's surprisingly effective. Its extended range saves the user from close quarters fights, and even up close, the red reticle radius is generous, allowing for easy targeting. Most grunts die to about 4 to 5% battery usage, but the best use case is against elites. Plasma fast might not deal bonus shield damage, but the focused rifle's damage output is high enough anyway. You only need 1 second to weaken their shields, or a second and a half for ultras and above. It's not good at killing brutes, but their helmets are frail targets, allowing headshot weapons to kill them. This is notable because unlike the DMR, you don't have to pace your shots to shoot their helmets off. Focus rifles dropped from enemies have near full batteries, ranging from 75% to 95%. This is excellent, allowing for extended usage. There are some free focus rifles too, one before the spire on tip of the spear, and one in the maintenance shaft of the package. The focus rifle is an underrated ally weapon. Unlike the sniper rifle, allies actually use this at sniper appropriate ranges, at 100 world units max. They do not suffer damage penalties either, so despite the short firing time, they'll deal good chip damage from a safe distance. This could be a double-edged sword however, since they'll sometimes attack dropships, doing nothing in the process. This will surprise many of you, but I'm giving the focus rifle A tier. Say what you will about this weapon. Yes, it's boring, but it's supremely consistent. On tip of the spear, we start with my favorite Halo Reach weapon, the grenade launcher. It fires 1 grenade at a time before reloading, and players can hold 15 in reserve. It's unique thanks to a new trigger tethering mechanic. Firing without holding the trigger releases a standard high explosive grenade. This one deals up to 180 points of small explosive damage with a 2.5 world unit blast radius. Holding the trigger, however, shoots an EMP grenade that uses 2 damage effects. One deals 180 points of small explosive damage, just like the standard grenade, but the radius is shorter at just 1 world unit. The other is the EMP, dealing 100 points of EMP damage with a 2.5 world unit radius. I love the grenade launcher. It has so much skill expression. It tests your shot leading ability and your knowledge on both grenade types and how they match up versus the enemy cast. The high explosive grenade is best for unshielded enemies. It's very effective against jackals. A direct impact on their shield causes a one-shot, and other close by jackals are likely to die as well. It's great versus brutes too, one-shotting miners and two-shotting captains, and the AoE spreads to other surrounding brutes, weakening them too. The EMP shot is used for weakening elite shields and disabling vehicles. While I love this weapon to death, I can't let my bias gloss over the negatives. It's difficult to use effectively, and missed shots are devastating. Since you only load one grenade at a time, you must be aware if your launcher is actually loaded or not. If you switch to it and you have to reload, that could put you in a bind, especially if you're facing an elite. The EMP shot, while it's good versus shields, requires you to land your shot very close to an elite to deal significant shield damage. They will dodge your grenade, preventing you from dealing max damage. Utilize the grenade launcher's grenade tracking display to know when to detonate the shot. Ammo for this weapon is fairly plentiful. On tip of the spear, you start with max ammo. On the package, there's 2 grenade launcher racks, as well as 2 more at the end of Pillar of Vadam. The grenade launcher is just okay as an ally weapon. They'll miss a lot, but if they score a hit on a grunt or jackal, they'll likely die. Grenade launcher troopers do not utilize the EMP shot. If they did, they'd be cracked against vehicles. A concussion rifle trooper is better overall. I'll give the grenade launcher B tier. It's a tough weapon to master and requires optimal positioning to work. Its highs are incredibly high, but its lows can get you killed, and it's not great as an ally weapon. We won't see a new weapon until Exodus, when the brutes and their spikers show up. On the surface, it looks similar to its Halo 3 counterpart. Fire rate and damage per shot is the same, with a slightly wider firing spread that gets tighter when crouching. Its projectile velocity increased as well. However, its most infamous difference comes from its damage type: Plasma Slow. The Reach Spiker is one of the most useless weapons in the game. It's a shield stripping weapon that lacks shielded targets over 90% of the time. If I wanted to use a Plasma Slow weapon versus unshielded enemies, the plasma pistol was right there. I'd even take the assault rifle over it thanks to the range advantage. It doesn't even get boosted melee damage and reach. There's a handful of times where you can use a spiker versus elites, and while it's decent against their shields, it has no advantages over the plasma pistol. It's worse at range due to its spread, and as a magazine weapon, you have to be aware if your weapon's loaded when switching, which you don't have to do for the plasma pistol. This thing's awful. Y tier. Brute miners and captains are not shielded in this game, rendering this weapon pointless. During the holdout section by the elevator, we encounter the one machine gun turret in the main story, not counting Lone Wolf. It's quite different from its Halo 3 counterpart. It no longer has a build-up fire rate, firing at 10 rounds per second at all times. Firing spread is also the same whether it's mounted or not, ranging from 0.5 degrees to 2.5 degrees, noticeably wider than Halo 3's mounted turret. It overheats after a few seconds of continuous fire. Damage per shot was nerfed from 16 to 10, but the static fire rate offsets the damage loss. The machine gun turret is only around for one encounter on Exodus, and requires setup to use optimally. If you try to stay on the tripod, the Phantom's plasma turrets will gun you down, so use 2 plasma grenades to destroy all the Phantom guns for safe turret usage. It's strong versus all the unshielded enemies here, hit stunning brutes after a few shots. The Torn Off variant suffers from the same problems the plasma turret faces, with slow walking and turning speed on controller. However, I'd say this encounter favors the turret's defensive playstyle. There's plenty of cover, and the enemies are coming to you, and the faster bullets means you don't have to shot lead. You could just stockpile a bunch of needler ammo and use that on the brutes instead, saving you 2 plasma grenades in the process. But I'd say the machine gun turret route is a legitimate strategy. The wide firing spread matters less given the close range nature of this encounter. Using the turret here also saves you needler ammo, so you can use that later in the mission. Lone Wolf is the other machine gun turret mission, and I just don't recommend it. The tripod is a death trap with all the dropships flying overhead. Also, instead of brutes, you face elites, which are not as weak to the turret and will just overwhelm you. If we count George's chain gun as a machine gun turret, then George is the only allied turret user in the game. His weapon uses the same projectiles, but has a build-up fire rate and a 25% damage penalty. He's mostly just a distraction, dealing minimal damage, but the one time you rely on his turret is during winter contingency, where he mounts his turret onto your truck. It takes a while for him to kill anything, relying on Carter's DMR to hold enemies in place. Given how well the turret does in the Exodus encounter, I'll give it C tier. It's not a necessity to complete that encounter, but it has a niche, even if it requires 2 plasma grenades to neuter the Phantom. In that same encounter is our penultimate weapon, the Gravity Hammer. It deals the same damage as Halo 3's, with a bit less knockback, and it takes a bit longer to complete a swing. I'd say the hammer is the strongest CQB weapon in Reach. It 2-hits the toughest non-hunter enemies in the game, including chieftains and elite zealots. Enemies flung by the shockwave cannot act while airborne, giving you time to freely kill them. It only spends 5% battery per swing, giving you a lot of time with this weapon. In Halo 3, hammers were limited to chieftains, but on Exodus, captains used them, increasing this weapon's availability. Sprint is the best armor ability for this weapon, letting you close the distance. While we're talking about Sprint, I want to mention the hammer's biggest weakness, the majority of Exodus. You're forced to use a jetpack after coming down the elevator, and Sprint no longer appears for the rest of the mission. This makes the hammer more difficult to use, especially against Concussion Rifle and Fuel Rod users. It's not impossible though, and with good positioning, you can overwhelm brutes caught off guard. Active Camo and Drop Shield are your 2 options after the Falcon ride, and provide their own advantages. Active Camo lets you sneak up on foes, while Drop Shield gives you a safe bubble near your enemies. Like the Energy Sword, you cannot give hammers to allies. The hammer is at the top of B tier. If Sprint was more available on Exodus, I'd rank it higher, but it's still really strong. Our final weapon is the Spartan Laser, and its first appearance is with this trooper on Exodus. It got a weird set of changes after Halo 3. Its shot count was reduced by 1, providing 4 in total. Its laser damage was doubled, and it got an impact damage effect on top of that, dealing 100 extra points of laser damage. That sounds like a major damage buff, until we look at the laser damage modifier. From 3 to Reach, damage to energy shields was nerfed, with a 75% damage penalty. This results in elite officers surviving a splazer shot. It should only be used on specific targets, whether that's vehicles, shade turrets, hunters, or brute chieftains. Having only 4 shots is rough. It can't even one-shot wraiths consistently. It can 2-shot hunters, but since they come in pairs, you have to save all 4 of your shots for them both. You can line up both hunters to shoot them at the same time, resulting in 2 dead hunters and just 3 or even 2 shots if you're lucky. The Spartan Laser never feels 100% necessary in the Reach campaign. I bet a lot of people don't even know it shows up on Exodus. However, I would not write it off. The laser is good for the 2 hunters on the package, and there's 2 lasers back to back on the Pillar of Autumn. You can use the first to kill the Fuel Rod General and his elite posse, then the second to take out the ghosts and shade turrets. Alternatively, you could DMR the shade pilots, skip the ghosts, and use the laser on the hunters in the following encounter. The laser is cheeks in allied hands. When they use it, it has spread? What? The best use case is the ammo drop exploit. Using this glitch, I took that second laser on Pillar of Autumn all the way to the final boss, with battery to spare. Because of the ammo drop exploit, I'm giving it B tier. Turns out, the 4-shot limit is not real as long as you have cannon fodder allies. And that's the definitive Halo Reach campaign weapons tier list. Our next stop is Reach's Firefight component. If, and only if, you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, hype the video if you're on mobile, leave a comment on your thoughts about my rankings, subscribe for more Halo content from this channel, and ring the bell to never miss an upload. I'd like to thank my patrons, as well as my Needler Gang YouTube members, for further supporting the channel. Thank you so much for your patronage. I love each and every one of you. This is the Vengeful Vadam. Always remember, you matter more than you think you do, and I'll see you on the great journey.